Today we're going to be filling some cheese with some mac and cheese, which is probably the most exciting thing anyone's ever done. First we need to make this, which is a beautiful, slightly jiggly cheese curd. To make the curd, we'll start with some water. We need the water to dissolve 1.5 teaspoons of citric acid. We're dissolving it so it has a more even distribution through your milk later, so it doesn't curdle too early. You can also give it a taste if you want to feel your tongue shrivel up. That's nice. For milk, don't use any of that skim milk BS. We need whole ass milk, preferably unhomogenized and never ultra pasteurized. We can dump the whole gallon in, and don't mind the chunks, that's just from the cream top. While our milk is still cold, we want to rigorously stir in our acid. Make sure you add the acid slowly so it doesn't start to curdle. While stirring it lightly, bring it up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Here I'm just leaving it at 90 degrees to let the fat dissolve a little bit more. Feel free to use an immersion blender to break it up and incorporate it a little bit better. Once it comes up to 90 degrees, we're going to need some rennet. I like to use animal rennet because I find it works a little bit better, but you can use plant rennet if you're a better person than I am. We're going to need 1/4 teaspoon for a gallon of milk. Looks like I forgot to cut the top. Let me do that real quick. Hopefully that piece of plastic didn't end up in my cheese. But it's going to be 1/4 teaspoon mixed in with a couple tablespoons of water. Our rennet's going to go into the milk as we stir rigorously. And once all the rennet's incorporated, I like to try and stop my milk from stirring too much more by dragging my spatula slowly in the opposite direction I was stirring. This can be lidded up and just left to set for about 45 minutes. Once you come back, you'll find it is separated into 2 distinct layers, which are the whey and the curd. We can then run a knife gently through the curd to break it up into little squares. Don't worry to make it too even, it's all going to be one big blob eventually. We can also run our knife through at a slight angle to break them up even further. This next part will bring it up to 105 degrees while stirring. I like to use my hand because I feel I can be a lot more gentle and also feel any hot spots as it warms through. Bringing the cheese to 105 helps tighten the protein network and also helps expel any excess whey. Once this cheesy goodness has reached 105, we can pour off the whey. And when most of the whey is gone, I'll place it into my colander to rest. It should look like this, and it'll continue to expel whey as we do our other projects. Today I'm going to be using 150 grams of our whey as our liquid in our mac and cheese sauce. That's going to be heated up as we weigh out 150 grams of our cheeses. I'm using cheddar and low moisture mozzarella because that's what I got. These can go into a blender along with 2% of our total cheese and liquid weight in sodium citrate. I'll then add my hot whey and proceed to blend till smooth. Now we have a nice and beautiful cheese sauce. We can then cook our noodles in some boiling salted water until al dente. Boil them to prevent stickage. We'll also need some breadcrumbs for our mac. I'll throw a couple tablespoons of butter into a frying pan with a cup's worth of breadcrumbs. That can get some salt and pepper. And I'll also be adding some chopped herbs. This is just some rosemary, parsley, and thyme that I'm going to chop until it looks kind of like a green sand. These will get added to the breadcrumbs nearing the end of the cooking process and tossed until mixed. We can then complete our mac and cheese. I wanted some black garlic in my mac and cheese today, so I'm peeling a couple of cloves to then slice thin. After that, I'll warm my noodles and sauce through. These can get the black garlic and some extra cheese for cheese pull. Moving back to our cheese, I'm only using half today, so I'm going to store the other half in a Ziploc. We also need a big vat of water that's above 140 degrees. Our cheese can go into a bowl and get torn apart. We just want to give it some surface area so it heats through more quickly. I'll also apply multiple layers of gloves because I'm not an Italian cheesemaker. Our water can then be gently added to our curd. You want your whole kit and caboodle to be above 140 degrees to rest for a few minutes before stretching. I like to also just add some salt straight in, but you can also salt your cheese directly later. Once your cheese feels pliable, you can start your stretching. I like to give it 3 stretches before it's done. It should get a bit smoother with each stretch. This is how it looks on the 3rd stretch. Then pinch a ball off to house my mac and cheese. This ball can then be flattened and I'll hold it with my thumb and my forefinger to create a space so I can stuff it with mac and cheese. This can get pinched closed and voila, you have a mac and cheese burrata. Now this guy needs some toppings. I'll give it some of our breadcrumbs and a drizzle of balsamic vinegar. Now it's ready to eat. Oh man. That's fantastic. I give this one an 8-2. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, subscribe for more mac and cheese. And let me know if there's any other mac and cheeses you would like to see in the future.